Hello, my name is Courtney Cloud. I am a licensed professional counselor with Eden's Counseling Group. And tonight I will be presenting on the topic effective skills for helping your teen cope with stress. So, here at Eden's, our therapists offer free monthly presentations on various topics related to mental health. If you go to our website at www.edenscounseling.com, you can access all of our past webinars. Just a note for anyone in our audience today, if you have any questions, comments, please feel free to put them in the chat box that we have here. And I'll definitely take any questions at the end of the presentation. So, what are we focusing on tonight? I'm going to share information on how you can help your teen learn how to identify and communicate their feelings and manage stress by learning effective coping skills. Let's dive on in. So, stress, it's a normal part of life. We all experience it. It's defined as a state of worry or mental tension caused by some form of difficulty. A moderate exposure to stress is common and can actually be helpful and encouraging resilience, like building resilience. However, chronic exposure to stress, so chronic meaning something that's happening for a long time or is reoccurring, can be extremely harmful to the body, especially a body that's still developing, like your teenagers. What then could happen is it can cause disruption in day to day living, and it interferes with how our bodies naturally function. So you might start to notice physical aches, changes in their moods, and in behaviors. In our next slide, we are going to look at signs of stress. So I like to think about how our cars are programmed to alert us when something isn't working properly. So our dashboard may light up with different warnings. We may hear noises or notice that our car is just not driving how it typically would. Our bodies operate in a similar way when it's undergoing stress. So you may start to notice that your teen is complaining of sickness or having headaches or stomach aches, not being able to sleep, tired, under eating, or even sometimes overeating. Many teens we see may withdraw or isolate themselves. You may start to see a lack of motivation, low energy, aggression, and loss of interest in things that they once really enjoyed doing. Emotionally, you may also notice mood swings, irritability, outbursts, anxiety, or your child may express feeling numb. Additionally, stress can impact your teen's thinking, and they may start having more negative thoughts or memory problems, maybe a hard time focusing, or even difficulties in making decisions. This, of course, can pour over into school and their academics. So you might start to notice changes in their grades. There may be more procrastination or withdrawal from school and social engagements. It's really important to be aware of what major stressors your child is facing. I've listed here a few of the most common stressors for teens. So, of course, academic pressures, the heavy burdens of schoolwork and testing, family conflict, such as constant yelling and fighting, or separation and divorce, and even major life changes like moving or changing schools. Peer pressure, wanting to fit in, wanting to be accepted and liked by their peers. Social media, teens are constantly bombarded with so many messages and expectations. Future uncertainties, questions like, what am I doing after high school? Am I going to college? Am I getting a job? Am I going to learn a trade or a skill? Body image, how teens feel about their bodies, and the constant comparison to other people, which also can tie into what they're seeing on social media. Unhealthy relationships, being taken advantage of, mistreated, manipulated, or even neglected. And then lastly, bullying. More and more bullying is happening, especially on social media. I always recommend monitoring your child's online activity, their phones, and also being in the know of what's happening in their school. Now, let's talk about the impact that stress has on the brain. So, chronic stress can have long term effects on a student's ability to learn. Coping with excessive amounts of stress on a daily basis can essentially rewire a teenager's brain to deal with basic fight or flight instincts, while the memory storage and then the critical thinking functions that are needed for learning take a back seat. So, if the brain is overloaded with stress, it's not going to properly function in the way that it's designed to. So, you see the memory problems, lack of concentration, difficulty with thinking and making decisions, and even with problem solving. So, all of these functions get impacted. I'm sure many are familiar with fight, flight, and freeze. So, there are many ways in which we respond to something that is stressful. Those stress responses can present in different behaviors and emotions for teens that can be different from adults. So, for the fight response, it can show up as defiance, yelling, demanding control. For the flight response, it can appear as being unfocused, not being able to pay attention, procrastination, and also avoidance. And for freeze, with this response, it could look like zoning out, not being verbally responsive. And many teens can express just feeling numbness. So if you start to notice some of these behaviors in your teen, that can alert you that your child may be in a stress response and they're needing support to be able to regulate themselves. And we'll talk about regulation in the next few slides. I also do want to highlight just some information from some studies that have been done on stress in teenagers. One study that has been conducted actually has shown that teenagers release more cortisol. So, cortisol is going to be the stress hormone. So, because they're releasing more cortisol during times of stress, it can lead to physiological responses such as increased heart rate and blood pressure. And also, they can experience greater cognitive impairment than adults do. And then, of course, we can see that this increases the potential for anxiety, depression, and even substance use. Let's talk about building self awareness. So, self awareness is being able to see the whole picture. What is currently happening in my body? It's being able to scan the body, notice what's happening, and name what it is that you're experiencing in the present time. So, helping your child build self awareness is an essential life skill. Building self awareness, it starts with the body. So sometimes I like to tell the teens that I work with, imagine that you're stepping into like an elevator that's in your body, and you're starting at the top with your head, and you're just going down on that elevator, and you're scanning to see what it is that I am noticing within my body. What is my body's temperature? Am I cold? Am I warm? Do you notice any pressures, any tensions, or any aches or any pains in your body? Then you're trying to notice what kind of movements are happening. Am I shaking? Am I rocking? Am I tapping my fingers or my toes? And when you're able to notice these items, it can help you be able to better identify feelings. So I really love the quote that it says, "We truly find ourselves in a body designed for feeling." So being able to name what it is that we're feeling, such as I feel scared, I feel frustrated, I feel confused, I feel angry. Being able to do this helps to allow your teen to feel more connected to themselves, which of course will build that awareness. Sometimes your teen may not be able to name what it is that they're feeling. You may get the, I don't know, like the little shrugs, which is it's common. It's kids, right? And in these moments, you can help them identify what they are experiencing. So you for yourself can label what it is that you are seeing, or you can throw out possible feelings based on what it is that you're noticing with your child. So, for example, if you're talking to your child, hey, I can see that you're holding your stomach and your leg is shaking. I wonder if you are feeling nervous or anxious. So, this can help them build the self awareness. And the more awareness that they have, the better they will be at connecting a feeling to what it is that they're experiencing. Acknowledging your child's stress. First, get on their level. If they're laying on the floor, get on the floor. If they're sitting on their bed, sit next to them. If they're doing an activity, ask to join them. From there, you want to assess what they need. I like to always start with the basics. Are they safe? Have they eaten? Are they hydrated? And have they had adequate sleep? If they are lacking on these basics, it's going to be pretty difficult to operate at their fullest capacity. Listen and validate. Listen with your senses. So hear the words, see their body language, and feel their energy. This is the time for them to feel seen, heard, and understood by you. So this won't be the time to go into fix it mode or wanting to give them advice or sharing life experiences that you have had, unless, of course, they're asking for that. You want to be able to explore coping skills with them and see what could be helpful for them to be able to manage the stressors. And I'll talk more about coping skills in a bit. Lastly, supporting your teen with problem solving, encouraging them to use their thinking abilities to explore possible solutions. Researching different resources that could be helpful for them is also essential. And this process can enhance their self esteem, their self confidence, and feeling proud about themselves. Let's look at the three components that is effective for communication. So, first, we have active listening. When we're actively listening to our child, we are present. So we're not distracted with our phone or with other tasks. We're not interrupting them, but we're giving them the space to speak openly. We can also summarize what we're hearing and ask gentle, open ended questions to better understand what your teen is thinking or feeling. Next is empathy. Empathy is being able to understand a person from their frame of reference rather than your own. Empathy is a practice, it's a skill. So it's you sitting with your teen in their feelings and being alongside them throughout it. Lastly, validation and understanding. Acknowledge what your teen is feeling and show that you understand what they are expressing. So, some responses that demonstrate empathy and understanding could look like, it sounds like that must have been really hard, and I can see why it is that you are feeling angry. Or that is such a hard thing to understand. It makes sense why you would feel confused. Or, You feel overwhelmed by everything that is on your plate, and you could use a break. Is that right? So, being able to have those types of responses to them can really help make them feel like you are really listening and trying to understand them. I would like to highlight a few things to avoid when communicating with with your teenager is avoiding criticism and minimizing their feelings. So, for example, a statement that could be critical or minimizing could look like you shouldn't feel that way, or you're just being dramatic, or stop crying. And it's important to understand how powerful our words are. And when they're used in a way that is compassionate and empathetic, it builds a bridge for connection and safety for you and your child. Next, we're going to go into self regulation. So, regulating the body. What is self regulation? It means the act of managing cognition and emotion to enable goal directed actions, such as organizing behavior, controlling impulses, and solving problems constructively. The development of self regulation is dependent on co regulation, which is provided by a parent or a caregiver. Now, this is going to be done through warm and responsive interactions in which support, coaching, and modeling are provided to facilitate a child's ability to understand, express, and modulate their thoughts, their feelings, and their behaviors. Now, children take note of how adults deal with hard things. And the way that you approach life difficulties can influence how they also respond to how they respond while facing their own stressors or obstacles. So, regulating oneself takes practice, consistency, and support. In our next slide, I will go over some self regulating skills. So, first here we have what's called BASE. So, that is going to be acronym for breath, actions, sensations, and emotions. So, BASE, starting with breath, is really being intentional on deep breathing. So, that's inhaling through your nose, exhaling out of your mouth. You can also place one hand on your chest, one hand on your stomach while you are deep breathing. Some breathing techniques you can try is I like to call it 4, 5, 6. So it's inhaling through your nose for 4 seconds, holding your breath for 5 seconds, and then exhaling through your mouth for 6 seconds while still having your hands on your chest and on your stomach. And you can repeat that about 2 to 5 times depending on what is needed. Actions. So, actions are going to be movements that you're noticing in your body. So, it could be eye twitching, it could be fidgeting with your fingers, biting your nails, or even like tapping your feet on the floor or in your shoe. The next will be sensations. So, this is what am I noticing inside of my body? So, are there certain tingles that I'm recognizing? Do I notice some sharp pains happening in different parts of my body? Is there warmth? Or am I also noticing some aches and pains? And then lastly, we have emotion. So, this is being able to take all of the cues from your body or that your body is giving you and putting an actual feeling word to it. So, I'm feeling sadness, I'm feeling fear, I'm feeling happiness, I'm feeling anger. Okay. Now, with using base, this really does help you to be in the here and now, so be in the present moment, and allows you to feel more and more in control of yourself. Some other skills that can be helpful is, for one, showing your teen how to properly plan for things, while also helping them to set reasonable goals and work towards them with specific objectives. Problem solving. This helps stimulate your teen's critical thinking skills, and it encourages them to feel more confident in their decision making. The more they problem solve, the more adaptable they will become and better equipped to handle stress. Mindfulness is going to be a practice, a daily practice, actually. And it's just being in the present moment. A few mindfulness techniques can look like utilizing all your senses, the five senses. So it's naming five things that you can feel, whether it's with touch, four things that you can see, three things that you can hear, two things that you can smell, and one thing that you can taste. Another activity you can try or encouraging your child to try is intentionally focusing on an object and describing that object in detail. So, for example, I have here a puzzle piece. So, if I were to focus solely on that, I'm describing the color, I'm describing the shape, I'm describing even what the texture feels like, and that can help to reground your child to the present. Being able also to really connect with the body. So, placing your feet flat on the floor, maybe wiggling your toes, maybe stomping your feet and getting those sensations. Doing some clenching. So, maybe clenching your hand in a fist, holding it for a few seconds and letting it go, wiggling your hands. You can do the same thing with your toes if you were to curl your toes in this way for a few seconds and then letting them go. Reaching your hands all the way, ooh, my elbows popped. Reaching your arms all the way up and stretching as much as you can. That can also be another. Lastly, we have rest and return. So, this is taking a break and committing to come back later. This strategy is caring for the self and returning when you feel refueled. I do encourage you to try BASE, so breath, action, sensation, emotion, and these mindfulness skills with your child when they are not in a stress state. Learning these skills while they are calm and regulated will help them utilize these skills when they actually are feeling stressed. So, coping with stress. So, I've provided some additional coping skills that can be beneficial for you and your team. So, starting with being able to calm the body. So, progressive muscle relaxation, what that is being able to either, I usually start at my feet, and it is flexing your muscles for a few seconds and then releasing them. So, starting with your feet, moving up to your calf, tightening up that calf muscle, moving up to your thighs, moving up to your core, moving up chest, arms, and then finishing out with your head. Sensations can be grabbing something that gives you an opposite feeling. So, if you are feeling angry, you notice your body is hot, maybe grabbing ice or running your hands or head underwater or splashing water on your face. Having something like slime or Play Doh in your hands. Sometimes people like to have a rubber band that they gently just pop on their wrist area. Rhythmic movement can be anything as far as like swaying or rocking. If you remember, as your teenager was a baby and you would be holding and rocking them, and that was a form of soothing for them. It's the same thing still being older that you can try. Stretching or doing some form of yoga can also be very helpful in relaxing the body. Calming the mind, doing a room scan, so taking notice of certain shapes, certain colors, certain textures, and describing them. Guided meditations. There are some great apps online and even YouTube videos that are really helpful for teenagers. There is a website called mindfulness4teens.com that is awesome, has some great resources for teens. Insight Timer is an app for ages 12 and up that's also very helpful. If your children like reading or music, being able to recite lyrics, singing poems, and then also visualizations and imagery, that's being able to create in your mind a picture of being somewhere that is relaxing, that's calming, that's soothing. So imagining being at the beach and hearing the waves crash against the rocks, hearing maybe seagulls or hearing maybe people talking in a space that makes the child start to feel a little bit more calm. Lastly, activities. So I'm always encouraging teens to try out new things, maybe learning a new skill or engaging in something that is stimulating and enjoyable. So play is going to be essential, and that's for both teens and adults. Finding things that really light you up, physical activity, make it fun. So, going on a bike ride together, trying maybe something new, whether it's boxing or aerial arts, um, cooking if they're into doing that, organizing, cleaning if they like to have that structure in their area. If they're into art, as far as photography, painting, scrapbooking, and then, of course, gardening. Now I'm going to speak about how to tolerate distress. So, distress tolerance is having the ability to manage actual or perceived emotional distress. Your level of tolerance can determine how you approach and manage the situation. So we have an acronym, it's called ACCEPTS, and this is taken from DBT, which is a therapy, and it offers skills to help build up tolerance. So first we have activities. So this is going to be engaging in anything that can distract you from the distressing thoughts or emotions, such as hobbies, exercise, or other useful coping skills, like I've mentioned in our previous slide. Contributing. This is doing something kind or helpful for someone else. Helping others can shift the focus away from your own distress and provide sense of purpose. Comparisons. Comparing your current situation to a time when you coped successfully or to someone who is worse off. This can help you put your current distress into perspective. Emotions. Engaging in activities that evoke a different emotion, such as watching a funny movie or listening to uplifting music. Changing your emotional state can help shift your perspective on the situation. Postponing. This is where you are temporarily putting aside the distressing thoughts or emotions by mentally pushing them away. So, this can be useful when you're unable to address the situation immediately and need a break from the intense emotions. Thoughts. Redirecting your thoughts away from distressing topics by focusing on something neutral or positive. This can involve mindfulness techniques or visualization exercises, which, of course, we've talked about in the previous slides. Lastly, we have sensations. Engaging in sensory experiences that are soothing or pleasurable, such as taking a warm bath, listening to calming music, or using aromatherapy. So, finding small ways to participate and be active in the moment when distressed, or to self soothe when you are feeling distressed, are important for improving your emotional experience. I wanted to share this awesome book. It's entitled Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle, and it's written by Emily and Amelia Nagoski. And the authors provide 7 key elements to help complete a stress cycle. So, the first, physical activity, any form of moving your body. So, there's stretching, there's dancing, there's walking, there's biking. Breathing, which we talked about earlier, breathing in through your nostrils, holding it, exhaling through your mouth. Positive social interaction. So, connecting to others is so important for humans. So, allowing your child to have access to friend groups, or if they're involved in any extracurricular, anything outside of school that is helpful for them or supportive for them. Laughter. Whether laughing with someone, watching a funny movie or a TV show, this, of course, when we were talking in the past slide about distress tolerance and being able to shift that emotion to something that's opposite. Creative expression, encouraging them to tap into their creativity, whether that is learning something new, whether that's making something, whether that is art related, anything that they feel that they can be creative. Affection, hugs. So, research has actually shown that hugging for just 10 seconds can boost that feel good hormone, which is oxytocin. And then lastly, crying. Normalizing the need for crying because crying can be a release and it can be so soothing. Now, the human body is so incredible because our bodies are naturally made to recover from stressful and even traumatic events. Helping your child become equipped with skills that are beneficial while also creating an open space for them to share their experiences, create safety. It enhances their development and it builds a secure parent and child attachment. I appreciate you so much for being here, and I hope that this information has been helpful. Again, I am a licensed professional counselor and I primarily work with adolescents and adults. I am also a certified trauma focused cognitive behavioral therapist, which is a therapy for kids and adolescents that have experienced a trauma. It is a collaborative treatment, meaning that the child's caregiver is involved in the therapy process. If you would like more information about our services at Edens, please feel free to contact our client care team. They can also set you up with a free 15-minute consultation with one of our therapists. If you can please complete the evaluation form that has been provided in the chat, and you can also feel free to email me directly with any questions that you have. My email is Courtney at edenscounseling.com.